Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, March the 1st. Hey, we're turning the corner into another month. Fishing's been a little rough lately because of the weather and the coldness and the systems that have been coming through, but guess what? It's going to start turning. We're going to talk to the guys to see where it's at and where they think it's heading. We'll be right back with information from Tom, Lee, Tracy, and Gentry. Hey, we're getting into the third month of the year and things are starting to shake loose just a little bit. Weather's starting to warm up. So is Lee Pitts. He's got that fire going in his belly. He's ready to get going. Lee, what's going on Neely Henry and Weiss Lake this week?
Well, I've got that fire going all right, but it's kind of an empty belly right now. We've in the athletic world, we would say we've had to drop back and punt a little bit this week. So, the thing is on both of our Coosa lakes there, Weiss and Neely, we've had a lot of fluctuation of water. It really, we had a bunch of water last week come in. The water came up about 3.5 feet, and then in about 3 or 4 days they pulled it back down also. So the fish don't know what to do. We'll start with our crappie fishing. They're the fish that were in the river that we were catching are either just laying on bottom right now, or they've just got in the mouths of some of these pockets and they don't want to do anything. You're seeing the fish you can see on the graph. They're laying down there tight. The bait's laying tight on the bottom, and that's never a good thing, especially in our crappie world there. I've beat and banged on them all week, and Weiss and Neely, and it's the same thing. You can find one or two fish that might feed, and it's just a slow go right now. They're just not wanting to really do anything. I don't care if you're dropping live bait. They're the weather's getting right. It's getting there, but these fish just hadn't made that move since we've had all that disturbance.
Yeah, it seems like the river, especially our lakes, Tennessee River too, water level plays a big role in when fish really start to make their moves. And if it's fluctuating, it's going to be tougher, right?
It is, and that's the whole thing. We've had most of the week 3 turbines, and when you're pulling that much water coming out of Weiss into Neely and getting it on down, these fish are just they're waiting for better days. That's the whole thing. They're finding some of these breaks, some of these spots that they can just lay there and not have to fight those 3 turbines and all of that current coming through there. And feeding is not on their mind right now. But when it does bust loose, and it's going to be any day now, we're getting some, water temperatures 50, 51. They're getting where they need to be to come up and start doing their spring fling. So it's any day it's fixing to bust loose.
Yeah, and I think the best way to go about things right now is just to present the lure in front of as many fish as you can. Keep moving, keep reaction baits in your hands because something's got to snap at it, is the only way you're really going to get them to eat. Lee, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for all the time as always, dude. Get out there, have fun, and we'll talk to you again soon. Hey, we're getting there to where we're about a third of the way through the year, and we got Tracy Robinson, who's always on the fish. We're going to talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lay Lake fishing. Tracy, what's happening on these bodies of water here on this Coosa River?
Yeah, we'll just start at Logan and work our way down. Then, Logan, ton of water rolling through Logan. Coming from Neely Henry, coming from Weiss. It's been a ton of water rolling through every day. But it hasn't just completely killed the fishing, but it made it a little tough at times. It got the fish off the main body of water at Logan. Pretty narrow run of water up the lake. I didn't hear any reports from up there. I didn't even attempt to go up there. The current was so much. But from about I-20 bridge down to Pell City Park, you've got some off the main river kind of stuff there, a little bit of backwater kind of stuff, some ditches, creeks. There was fish to be caught in those. Not all the way to the back, but you could catch the bass on some smaller rattling baits. We used rattle traps, Excaliburs, booyahs, color baits. Water every day is getting a little bit cleaner. The mud's kind of gone now. It's still a little colored, but clean enough to make a good cast and catch them. But About 3/4 the way back. Those fish are in those little guts, 4 to 6 foot of water. They're not ready to, commit to any kind of spawning type stuff yet at Logan. It's still a month away from, water coming up, but they've got their nose headed towards the backs and they're kind of sitting out there and they're feeding. So you can, catch some fish. And when you find a few, there's usually more than one in there. So there's fish to be caught on those rattle type baits. I'd avoid the main lake. I'd stay, just just inside some of these creeks or big pockets. We talk each week about, the square bills and flat sided crankbaits. That's still a thing just off the river. You can get bit doing that. But I think, over the next few days, as it keeps getting warmer, just keep migrating towards the back. Those fish are kind of heading that way. I didn't get any crappie reports, but I saw the guys out there just kind of cruising back and forth, in the middle of the creeks, crappie fishing. I didn't see any catches. I don't feel like the crappie fishing was very good, just based on my observances at Logan.
Well, you said shad colors. Have we not gone into the crawdad stuff yet, where the red baits are starting to shine?
You could probably get bit on those red baits, Dano, but in that muddy water, I said shad. I probably should have alluded to a little bit more shine with the chrome. The chrome and blue, for some reason, on the Coosa River, every time you get these muds, go to the chrome and blue. That's just the color whenever it gets muddy out there. So chrome and blue, chrome and something.
Well, it sounds like the Coosa River is just keep moving, keep covering water, and hope you find something good. Tracy, brother, we appreciate everything. We will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, man, this sun's starting to come out. Yeah, we got a ton of rain over the recent time, and we are getting water going through systems, but I bet you Guntersville has still got some stuff going on. Tom Ott's here going to tell us about it. What's going on, Tom, on the Big G?
Well, I tell you what, Dano. The lake just never ceases to amaze me. We fished a little tournament last weekend. Had 38-degree water starting off, and first three casts we had a 4 and a 5 pound fish in the boat. It just never ceases to amaze me. It's incredible, but the fish are still in that little transition mode. This week we've seen the water really drop again. We had some high water over the last weekend. The water's dropped. It's obviously warming up. I mean, we were seeing 45, 46 by the end of the day there. So, the water's really starting to move. It's not that dirty, but it does have a little stain to it. But the fish are in that transition mode. I think probably, the majority of the fish that we saw were in the 5 to 7 foot range, really right there at the break, just trying to stage up. This little water drop's probably going to back them off a little bit, but you just got to use your electronics. And as far as Guntersville goes, I heard you talking about some red traps and things like that. Of course, red is the deal right now. I mean, it's just going to catch the fish. And you can change that up a little bit. You get some sun later in the day, maybe go with a little shad pattern. But, the orange or the red is really going to catch some fish early right now, especially right now. And some of your bigger fish are really moving shallow, but that transition zone's where the groups of fish really are. It's just going to take, the water coming up. Hopefully the water will come up and be stable for a little while. If that happens, it's just going to bust wide open, guys.
Did I hear you say the water temperature was at 38 degrees?
38-degree surface temp Saturday morning. Yes, it was. It was amazing.
How
Probably
does
the
that
coldest
happen?
I've caught a bass out of in before.
38. That I mean, where's that cold water coming from?
Well, we didn't fish, riverine stuff, but we were on the creek channel. So that's cold water. Like I said, we saw anywhere between 38 to 40 that morning. And then as the day progressed, we got up into the mid 40s. But most of that, is just contributed. We really didn't have that much sun. It broke out for just a little bit, 2 or 3 times throughout the day. The fish never really quit biting. We actually had to weigh in at 3 o'clock. The fish were still biting when we left. I think we kind of came up on a little group of them right before we weighed in, and it was just Katie bar the door for about 20 minutes there. We didn't have that big fish. I won't give you the one that got away story, but that's the way it is on fishing.
Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate the insights and the information, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we got Gentry Gordy taking a little bit of break from saving lives out there on an ambulance. We're going to take some time and talk a little bit of Lake Martin and Jordan Lake fishing. Man, you kicked off the Alabama Bass Trail season this past weekend. I know things didn't go as you wanted them to, but the fishing seemed to be pretty good. What's going on Martin?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd listen to me. I don't know. I never landed on them. I think I got stuck the 2 weeks before that when we had the warm weather. I got stuck trying to get up real shallow, and I don't know if they just pushed back a little bit. I know a lot of the guys caught them, in the back of the pockets, but they had pulled off. They had pulled down to the middle, throwing crankbaits and Texas rigs and stuff like that. I skipped probably too many docks. They just wasn't there. The only place I found them under docks was in the clear water down around Blue Creek. But for the most part, I think it was a lot of, spinner baits with like an orange kicker in the dirty water, red square bills and, Texas rig, jig, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened when Takahiro Omori won the elite event there several years ago. Was muddy water, find eddy spots behind rocks, and he was throwing that lipless up there, red one.
Yep.
Okay. I know the crappie bite's going to be a little messed up with all that current and muddy water itself. Let's turn to Jordan Lake. What's happening there?
Jordan is, believe it or not, my dad went up there. He went to Mitchell. Fished a tournament yesterday or the day before yesterday, and struggled a little bit just doing the things you would think were your square bill, your spinnerbait, stuff like that. Early spring, I guess, with the warm weather moving in. Never got bit, but finally picked up a swim jig and went to the back of the pockets and started catching some good largemouth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we know the river bites. It is what it is. It always is. But if that's not your cup of tea or you don't run up there, man, get in the back of some of them creeks right there and look for some blowdowns and some grass and swim a jig through it.
Does it seem to have current related to it? Like some of that stuff coming in on some of those creeks, or is it just pockets?
No, it's just the back of pockets. Like they're moving back there, getting ready to do their thing. They're just getting back there, staging on some of them blowdowns and docks and grass before they pull all the way in the back. And, got them ready to swim jig.
I know the crappie probably are trying to get out of that current too, because there's a lot of current going through the system overall.
Yeah.
Are you seeing crappie boats around?
Yeah, and you see them up around like the bridges, especially in the New Lake and the other one. But they're there. I mean, you see, the deeper docks, I think, like at the mouth of some of the pockets is where I've seen a few more on Jordan. And back to Martin, you get in Blue Creek and the water's clear. So that's where the majority of those guys were hanging out on Martin too.
Gotcha. Well, brother, we appreciate everything. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you again next week. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for March the 1st. Hey, we're going to be around the shop. Come see us over there. We know it's that time. You guys are going to be looking for boats to go fishing out of. You might even be looking for a family pontoon. We're there for you. Come see Katie, Patrick, and Melissa there in the sales department. If you're looking to keep that boat running, you can talk to Pat and everybody in the parts department, or Misty and everyone in service. We'll keep you on the water. And then, of course, if you're looking for that great tackle item, go see Colin and Jamie upstairs in the loft. We got what you're looking for to put a fish over the gunnel in your boat. Thanks for being the best part of Bucks Island. We will talk to you again next week.